Do I have like a seat for my bag, like
Sure.
the fancy ladies at the restaurant?
Yes. Absolutely.
Some restaurants will give you a special seat just for your bag.
Who's missing?
So the number you call me right to voicemail. This one rang. I just sent her a text.
Number 20.
So awarded 4,000.
It's rare for her holiday. She's necessarily needed. It's also
You're in the.
What I would like to know all the test is whether I get extra credit for being here.
You know what? I'll give you a couple of points.
Okay.
And we'll see by the end of the year where you stay.
So did the points add up to like ice cream over across the street? Or
no. Only if you're treating.
First choice is sandwich.
I see. First choice is sandwich. All right.
I have a sandwich for you back there.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Or a salad, whatever you prefer.
My wife is at all the tasting at Sports Center.
Oh, nice.
And with some of her coworkers.
Oh.
And very.
Yeah, my in-laws ship it to me.
You do?
It's
the best.
From their land.
What do they ship to you?
Olive oil.
Other than some.
It's
I
very
know,
nice.
my husband was just saying that his father just got rid of an old vineyard. Oh, here she is. An old vineyard, and he's gonna plant olive trees instead. Because grapes and wine is just
Unless you go.
Too fussy?
I didn't know it
it's
was.
very, it's a lot.
I didn't have it in my.
He's 81, 82. And I'll.
Wait, is this one got shifted? Are you?
It's fine with me because when they go and press it in October, November, I get a shipment. So.
It's very nice.
But you here.
Lovely.
Steve won't be here. I know he likes to
What's going on? How are you?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So Amy is running a few minutes. But you know what? Look at this.
Stack? You ordered the stack?
It's gonna be fun.
You gonna speed me the stack?
So let's see how close
Hey.
it's face up.
Days, you know, towards the end. So, we're Port Authority here.
Yes. So do we want to start anyway? Sure. That's okay. Because we have,
This is a quorum? What's a small committee?
it's,
What's a normal-sized committee?
we have two people that are couples. Amy's running a few minutes late. Mandy's gonna be 20 minutes late, but we can start. We don't vote Are we on there?
I don't know. I think we are. But it says start webinar. You're in a practice session. Let's go ahead.
What are we
and start it.
practicing?
I don't know. Okay. Now I think we're good.
Just start webinar.
I think that was what I said. I think it's.
What kind of pen is this? Hey, Mark.
You have the recorder going? So we're gonna start. Good evening. Board of Alders notice, New Haven. The City Services and Environmental Policy Committee of the Board of Alders will meet in person on Thursday, April 16, 2026 at 6:00 p.m. in the Board of Alders Chamber located at 165 Church Street, second floor, New Haven, Connecticut, to hear and act on the following items. Number 1, LM-2026-0105, resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the mayor to execute a maintenance agreement with the Connecticut Department of Transportation for safety improvements on Townsend Avenue. Number 2, LM-2026-0106, resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the mayor to accept funding from the Connecticut Department of Transportation for safety improvements on Ferry Street. Number 3, LM-2026-0043, order of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven authorizing the city to apply for and accept planning support services from the Long Island Sound Resilience Planning Support Program to assist with an update to the City of New Haven Coastal Program. Number 4, LM-2026-0114, order of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven authorizing the city to participate in, apply for, and accept active transportation microgrants administered by the South Central Regional Council of Governments and funded by the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Item number 5, LM-2026-0115, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the Bus Stop Enhancement Program Master Maintenance Agreement between State of Connecticut Department of Transportation and the City of New Haven. Number 6, LM-2026-0116, order of the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the City of New Haven to apply for and accept a grant in the amount of $11,040,000.00 from the U.S. Department of Transportation, USDOT, under the Safe Streets and Roads for All, SS4A, grant program consistent with the city's Safe Routes for All, SRFA, citywide active transportation plan. Per order, Honorable Anna M. Festa, Chair, attest Honorable Michael Smart, City Town Clerk. These items are filed and available in the Office of Legislative Services, City Hall, 165 Church Street, 2nd floor, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510. For accessibility-related accommodations, please call 203-946-7651B or 203-946-8582 TTY/TDD. Public testimony and comment may be submitted via email to publictestimony@newhavenct.gov before 2 o'clock p.m. on the day of the meeting. This meeting may be viewed on the New Haven Board of Alders YouTube page. I am Anna Festa, Ward 10 Alder and Chair of CSEP. At this time, I will allow my colleagues to introduce themselves, starting to my left.
Carolyn Doe Smith, Ward 9.
Leland Moore, Ward 18.
Thanks, colleagues. We are expecting 2 other colleagues. They're just running a few minutes behind, but we will begin anyway. Just some housekeeping. So we have a table to my right, your left. If anyone wishes to testify on any of the items, you can sign up for them. And even if you do not sign up, we will welcome public testimony at the end of each of the items. We ask that you please silence your cell phones, or at least, or turn them off, so we don't interrupt the meeting. As you can see, we have many items on the agenda. It's going to be a fairly long meeting, so it would be greatly appreciated that we have fewer or no distractions during that time. And with that, we can move to the first item. And I see that our transportation traffic, our city engineer is here. Giovanni's in.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam
You
Chair.
know what you need to do.
Yes,
State your name
Giovanni
and-
Zinn, 95 Soundview Terrace. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee, for taking some time tonight on this item. This is to execute a maintenance agreement with the Connecticut Department of Transportation regarding 2 crosswalks that we will be constructing on Townsend Avenue, one at Florence Avenue and the other one at Beecher Place, in the area of the seawall out in Ward 18. I know one of you at least is very familiar with that, that area. So this is very typical for the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Whenever there is improvements done by a municipality on a state roadway, they want a maintenance agreement. In this case, I'm pretty sure that probably state law would make us already responsible for all of this stuff anyways. However, we do need to execute a maintenance agreement and are coming to you for permission to do so. We will be responsible for the sidewalk and ramps, which we already are under state law, and the installation of the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, which are the solar powered flashing lights that you've seen at a number of crosswalks across the city. DOT will remain responsible for the pavement of the roadway and also all the pavement markings, which are standard DOT pavement markings. I think that's pretty much all I can say on that topic. We do look to do the installation a little later this year once DOT provides us with a permit and maintenance agreement to execute. Were you to give us permission to execute said agreement.
All set?
If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. Can you just touch briefly on what the maintenance entails?
So, whenever the sidewalk ultimately fails, which is many decades from now, we would have to replace it, which again is something that we would have to do anyway. And the rapid flashing beacons, they probably have a lifespan of 20 years or so, and that would have to be updated at that time. It's a fairly small amount of maintenance. Obviously, if they're hit, they're not in locations I think they'll be particularly susceptible to being hit. We would have to repair that. I think overall it's fairly low maintenance and also is things that we probably have to maintain anyway. It's like the sidewalk. We're already maintaining those sidewalks and the adjacent property owners under city limits.
And it looks like the cost for each of the rapid flashing beacons is $15,000 each.
I think a set of them is about $15,000.
Okay, a set. Okay, not
It's
each.
two. Yeah.
Okay. Questions from comments? No questions?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're on for number 2, right?
Number 2,
Okay,
yes.
so let's move on to item number 2. Oh, you know what, before we do move on, were there any concerns from residents or, I'm sure they're happy about having
We are very
safety.
happy and excited about this, is my understanding. Alder Moore may know more about that more directly, but my understanding is this is looked at very favorably. I know getting to the seawall safely and in a way that is, ADA compliant is very important to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2.
Again, thank you very much for having me for this item as well. This is for a resolution of the Board of Alders it's for the mayor to accept funding from the Connecticut Department of Transportation for safety improvements on Ferry Street. We've had a couple of public meetings about this. There's been a fair amount of community input. I know the alders have been Alder Miller and Alder McConnell, brief time here, have also expressed interest in the project. It's to do a fairly standard set of safety improvements on Ferry Street right now that you see on other streets, raised intersections, a lot of sidewalk work. Whenever we do a project, we have to update the sidewalks to BoA, the Public Rights of Way Accessibility Guidelines, published by the U.S. ADA Commission, or the ADA body of the federal body. A lot of the sections of sidewalk south of Grand Avenue are too narrow, so we're having to cut down some trees and do some other things and bump outs to improve the sidewalk to BoA standards. We will ultimately also pave the entire roadway. So one of the other benefits of these major corridor projects is that it offsets the need for the city to put large amounts of its paving budget on roadways. So if you look at State Street, Louisiana, for example, in construction, Howard Avenue, all these other things, it probably essentially doubles or triples our paving budget in function over time, because we're able to take our larger roads that are eligible for these grants and spend grant dollars on that instead of our own paving budget, so that more smaller residential streets and things of that nature are able to get paved. So we're looking to wrap up design later this year and get to construction. Obviously, there's a number of approvals from the state that we have to go through, and so that's always a big caveat in all of this. But there's a fairly well-established concept plan that you have there, or preliminary design plan. It's been on our website. We've gotten feedback on it, and we're excited to move forward with it, pending your approval.
And the funding level,
2.85 million. It does not require a match.
okay.
We have to design it on our own dime, and then it's 100% construction.
ADA has been a concern lately
Yep.
with some of the initiatives that have come our way. Are we making sure that we're following
Yes,
state regulation?
it's a federal regulation.
That's
Yes,
federal.
yeah. We ProAg, which was published last year in its final form, is a very important guidance document on this that lays out the law of the land for accessibility in the public right of way, and it's incredibly important. And it's it's sidewalks and accessibility and pedestrian infrastructure may not be the flashiest infrastructure that you'll see around, and doesn't get perhaps the the same attention everywhere that other things might, but I think it's the most basic, and it's the thing that really keeps people safe, and it's a very important part of every project that we do, is making sure that it follows the ADA guidelines, and it has to.
And is there supervision that occurs to make sure that we're placing things properly, et cetera?
Yes. There's a number of levels of review.
I ask
right?
because,
There's a number of levels of
it's
review, right?
come to our attention that
Yeah.
some things are not placed properly, but anyway,
If you have some, please let me know. Also, yes, there's a number of different levels on something that's got a state funded. There's also a state review, we have internal quality assurance, quality control procedures. We have our chief civil engineer in particular has become sort of our internal expert on ProAg, and it's an important part of what we do.
Okay, thank you for that. It's good to have it on record and clarified.
Yes.
You're saying that the plan that we have before us
Yeah.
is a preliminary plan.
Yeah, well, so, one of the challenges of engineering design is that you look at something like that, you're like, oh, wow, this looks really cool, we can build it. There's a lot of information that we then have to put in. It's the details, right? So the final plan doesn't look that much different at all from that, from a lay perspective. There's just a lot more information, like how high is the curb? So you gotta do all the grading plans, and you've gotta detail out all the little things, and there's what's the maintenance and protection of traffic while you're doing construction. So there's a lot of work it's a lot of work to get to the level you see in front of you, right, where we've coalesced as a community around what we're doing. And then I always like to say that that's when the real work starts, right? Then there's a ton of engineering that really is not that interesting to sort of the layperson, because the final product is extremely similar to what they saw 1-2 years prior in the final preliminary concept or preliminary design. However, there's a lot of everything becomes a lot more accurate. Things will move 6 inches here, a few inches there, and that sort of thing really tightens up to a place where you take something that looks good and is a good concept, and it makes it constructible out in the field by a contractor.
Timeline
We're looking to complete design later this year and get into construction.
in 2027?
We'd like to this year to start. Again, that's always a big asterisk, that there's a lot of procedures and things we have to go through with the state, but I think we're good.
Questions
Yeah.
from colleagues? Question? So I have one more question, and
Yep.
that is, has the community has the community been a part of this?
Yes, we've had at least 2 public meetings. It's also grown out of feedback from the downtown Worcester, the Fairhaven Community Management Team. And and I've also worked a lot with the alders on it as well. I think it's maybe even slightly overshadowed by some of the stuff going on in Grand Avenue, just because this is a, you know, I'm actually very appreciative of it. You know, speed tables, better sidewalks, you know, that kind of stuff has become kind of run of the mill, right? And that's a very good thing. And I think people understand and see the infrastructure and appreciate it and ask for it, quite frankly. You know, I got a lot of people asking, I want the Valley Street treatment.
Oh, I think I've asked for that. I want the Valley Street.
So, you know, I think it's becoming something that, you know, people both understand what it looks like and appreciate it.
Thank you for that. I'll ask one more time. Any questions? Okay.
All right.
Do you have number three?
I think that's it for me.
That's it for you?
Double check, but
This
yes,
is
no, number 3 is.
The Long Island Resilience Plan. Okay, and before we move to number 3, I'm gonna see if the public wants to testify.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you're all set?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll stick around for a few minutes if the public otherwise.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
So is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on behalf of items 1 and 2? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on items 1 and 2? Please come forward. And for a third time, if anyone would like to testify on items 1 and 2, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, which is the planning support services for Long Island Sound resilience support. Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
You have goodies for us. And then once you sit, before you go into your presentation, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
All right. Hello, Alders. What was that? Oh, yeah. All right. My name is Kaylee Moran. Address is 848 Edgewood Avenue. Thank you for taking the time to hear this item tonight, Alders. I'm representing the City Plan Department tonight. And this item is in regards to applying for and accepting support under the Long Island Sound Resilience Planning Support Program. So this is a program that, rather than applying for funding or some sort of grant to complete a project, this program lines you up directly with a qualified contractor who will complete whatever planning related project you are applying for. In this case, the City Plan Department is applying for support on a total update to the city's coastal program, which has not been updated since 2006. It was originally adopted in 1983, I believe. And as I'm sure you all know, many things have changed since 2006, both locally and climate related change and all levels of government and also local city initiatives. So in order to get the coastal program in alignment with all of the change that has happened in the past 20 years, we are hoping to seek the support of a consultant who will help assist us with a complete overhaul of this document. And just for reference, the coastal program is a planning and regulatory guidance document. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but it's used by city staff, residents, developers, and land use boards. And it's used in reference to pretty much any coastal land use decision that's made in the city. And there's also a lot of information on there that was in the past used to inform zoning standards, development review, and everything in that realm. And this is also this impacts the entire area of New Haven, that's within the coastal boundary, which is a large portion of New Haven. I don't think I have a map in these materials, but there should be a map somewhere in the submission materials. And yeah, that's what we're seeking to do. So we're seeking to accept program support. And I also do want to mention that we have been accepted to the program as a valid candidate for support. We have not received the support yet, obviously, but we have, we put through an initial application and been accepted as a candidate. That's what I'll say.
So basically, still, we haven't accepted any funding yet. We're just applying for it. And is this something that all coastal municipalities are, or anyone actually who's on any type of waterway applying for?
No, this grant program is not specifically coastal related. It's for general resilience planning support projects. So the city plan department thought that an update to the coastal program would be a good fit under those parameters, but it could, the program itself is not limited to coastal program.
Okay, so it's not limited, it's not for, rivers and waterways? or
No,
anything,
no,
it's a generic?
yeah.
Okay. Questions from colleagues? Alder Moore.
Thank you for coming out. Are you familiar with East Shore at all?
Yes.
Okay, so would you be willing to, at a high level, provide a little bit more information about how the resilience planning support program helps coastal communities like East Shore?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, this document has not been updated in the last 20 years, and it's a document that's still used and referenced in land use and development related decisions. So some of the specific asks we would be submitting to a contractor if we were awarded support under this program would be an assessment of present and future coastal risks, development of citywide and neighborhood-specific resilience strategies. So obviously that would include East Shore as one of the water-adjacent communities in New Haven. Consistency review for relevant laws and regulations, updating policy and regulatory tools, and assistance with stakeholder and community engagement. That's not a comprehensive list, but those are just some of the things that we would be getting assistance with under this program.
And would some of those risks be hurricanes, floods?
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay. And climate-related issues?
Yes,
okay.
definitely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder Moore. Any further questions? Just, do you know, if it's a grant, do you know the amount?
So it's not a grant, it's a program, and it's the structure is kind of like a grant, but there's no financial transaction between the city and the group running the program. So what they would do is match us with a qualified contractor, but the Long Island Sound Partnership would be the ones running the RFP process and actually engaging into those contracts on behalf of us.
Okay, and then if we are granted this program and that process takes place, RFP, et cetera, then who takes care of the cost after that? Is it the program?
So when you say cost, this is all.
Is it all under the program?
Yes, this is all
Everything,
planning
okay.
related work, and the whoever the match contractor is would be the people that are actually doing the update, and then obviously it would come when we have an updated or a draft coastal program that would go through the regular process of approval and review by internal staff.
Okay. So really the only time, or the only thing taking anything up would be the time from staff.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, but as far as cost to us, this program would take care of.
Yes, there's no cost to the city yet.
And what made City Plan pick this?
We have been talking for a long time about, a necessary update to this program. And when we were notified of this, to the coastal program, and when we were notified of this resilience support program, we thought that it would be a great fit. And honestly, the reason that that update to the coastal program hasn't, been undertaken is because of understaffing issues and, everyone, there just hasn't been a, like coastal technical specialist on our staff in a little while. So we thought this would be a great fit, for that effort.
Which I guess it makes sense considering, we are a coastal town and, we will have, this, from Long Wharf all the way to the Cove, that's quite a bit of, water mass.
Mhm.
Okay. Just trying to. Any questions? Questions? No? Anything to add? All right, well, thank you for that information. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
And before we go on, I just want to recognize Alder Marks and Alder Martinelli have joined us. Thank you.
Did either of you guys not get a?
I read it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alders.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this item? Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this item? Please come forward. And for a third time, if there's anyone from the public that would like to come forward to testify on this item, please come forward. Okay, seeing none, no one, we will move on to item number 4. And this is in regard to the transportation microgrants. And I see our Director Simpson, in Transportation, Traffic, and Parking. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Alders. Good evening. Name and address for the record, and then you could go right into your presentation.
Thank you. My name is Haley Simpson. I am at 93 Plymouth Street, New Haven, Connecticut, 06519. I serve as the Director of Transportation, Traffic, and Parking for the City of New Haven. The resolution that you have in front of you is we are seeking authorization to apply for and accept a micro grant in the amount of $5,000. This grant is intended for to support safe and environmentally friendly transportation options. What we had in mind for utilizing these grants, if we were successful in applying for and receiving it, were bike racks and finding different locations to apply those bike racks. Excuse me. So what we are proposing with this micro grant is to purchase 27 bicycle racks with one of these grants to serve residents, students, employees, and visitors who travel by micromobility vehicles such as bicycles, scooters, and particularly where secure visible parking is currently. I do believe that's it. So, this is, of course, part of TCMP's priority in making New Haven more walkable, more bikeable, more transportation friendly. Though it's a small grant, we do believe that it will have a significant impact with us being able to purchase bicycle racks. That is it for this.
So it's for $5,000.
It's only $5,000.
And do you know where these 27 racks would be placed? Is it mostly downtown, or will it be dispersed throughout the city?
It will be dispersed throughout the city. We didn't identify the specific locations yet because we didn't know if we had authorization to apply for the grant. But as soon as we receive, if we are so fortunate to receive authorization from you all, and when we focus more on applying for this grant, we'll be able to really hone in on which locations we think need those bicycle racks.
When is the application due?
So I do believe that the next one is due June 25th of 2026.
And then how long do they take to decide on who gets it?
That I'm not 100% sure of, but I can research how long that takes to know. I'm not 100% certain on the response time, but I can get you that answer.
Okay, questions from colleagues? Any questions? Yeah, let us know if we get the grant.
Yeah,
And then.
I mean, I know it's small, but
Well, every
It's
bit
something,
helps.
yeah.
And I have to say, I don't know about my colleagues, but I've actually had people ask, when can we get some bike roads?
oh, that's so wonderful.
So-
That's really exciting. And, you know, I'm sad that we didn't apply to it sooner, so that way the bicycle racks would be out for the beautiful weather now. But, you know, if we apply for it and then install the grants, install the racks this year, at least they'll be there for next year. So God willing, we will all be around for next year as well.
Definitely, yes. All right, is there anything else?
On this grant, no.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please come forward. Anyone from the public that would like to testify, please come forward. Okay, seeing none, we can move on to the next item. Is it?
That's me, yeah.
Okay, I see someone coming forward.
Yes, we have
Some
some
BoA.
BoT. Yes.
For the record, Graham Curtis. For the record, Graham Curtis, Devon Charlene, Madison, Connecticut DOT.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening.
Okay, go right ahead with,
Do I need to introduce myself again?
no, yeah, all right, for logistic purposes, yes.
All right, my name is Haley Simpson. I serve as the city's Director of Transportation, Traffic, and Parking. I reside at 93 Plymouth Street, New Haven, Connecticut, 06519.
Thank you.
And, oh, Graham already did that.
Okay.
So Alders, what you have in front of you is a resolution. We are seeking authorization to enter into a master agreement for a bus shelter maintenance program with the state of Connecticut Department of Transportation. Let me start off by saying the best part about it is that we don't have to put any funds in. The second best part about it is that we are able to get new bus shelters. So, you know, of course, this is an opportunity to improve the locations that don't currently have shelters. The state would come in and provide shelters to about, I want to say it's about 15 locations. We have not identified the locations yet because we did not have authorization to sign the agreement. But if we are so fortunate to have authorization to sign this agreement, we will then entertain a conversation to confirm the locations of these bus shelters. I will turn it over to Graham for him to provide you with more information.
Right, the state of Connecticut has developed a $20 million program for statewide to replace bus shelters or bus stop enhancements. We recognize, the state recognizes that the bus shelters have been chronically underfunded in the state of Connecticut. There's a huge pent-up demand in the history of, poor maintenance and poor multiple things. So the program is set aside $20 million for a 4-year program statewide. We're hoping to deploy about 700 shelters throughout the state. The criteria we're using to distribute them is based on the ridership. Certainly each community has a certain ridership level, and I think in New Haven it'd be about 20 boardings per day. So we'll work with the city staff and kind of get transit to determine where the locations are. The program consists of, we will design the locations, furnish the shelters, construct the sidewalks and amenities to make them fully ADA compliant up to 75 feet of adjacent sidewalk, and install the shelters. The arrangement is that the city then will maintain the shelters and insure them. If there is major structural damage, we will replace the shelters. Basic maintenance and glass repair would be on the city, and that's basically the way the city currently operates. The 15 mentioned, that's the first year. We're hoping to do close to 100 in the city of New Haven. New Haven has a unique problem, is because you have so many projects going on. We'll have bus shelters that the state's working on. We have to kind of work around the peripherals, because obviously the demand is on the green, but obviously there's huge projects going on the green. So we have to work on the periphery and work in. So it's kind of a unique problem to have. I will mention that in addition to the bus shelter enhancement program, the state has a complete street policy, as many of you aware. So any project the state is doing on municipal roads, we're required to evaluate that for pedestrian, transit, bike, and bicycle amenities, and recommend that that we install those. And that's a sign off before the engineering department can design any project, they need us to sign off as compliant with those three things. So as part of that, we're also installing more shelters in New Haven. And I think the hope is of the city that we will be able to standardize throughout the city and get all new shelters throughout the entire city, within a 4 to 8 year period.
Anything else? Okay, so within a 4-year period, approximately 100 new bus shelters across the city, not just downtown, right?
We're gonna start at the outside,
Yes.
probably.
And are these your basic shelters that we see, bus shelters that we see now?
Yeah, basically, we're gonna standardize the design, and there is some design flexibility with our vendor. We'll let the city pick the style with certain constraints. But they will be generally shelters that, high quality commercial shelters.
And you mentioned maintenance. Generally, if a car was to go into one, the state would replace.
Yeah, structural damage we will replace, because we recognize, we have contracts with the vendors, it's very difficult for the city to acquire, a new bus shelter.
Okay, so that part would be covered by you guys, but everything else is our responsibility, which would be.
That's what TTMP has been doing, is if there's glass that's shattered, we'll come in and replace the glass or find a contractor to replace that. I think we just assisted with removing graffiti off of one recently. I'm not 100% certain if that's ours or if we just decided to help. But yeah, we've been maintaining them throughout the city.
So the big question that you've already probably heard is the snow removal.
Yeah.
Because there's some of the shelters that are downtown, but there's some shelters that are in a residential area. And it's our understanding that the residential shelters are to be cleaned by the resident.
The abutting
Property
owner. That's correct.
Is that gonna change, or is that gonna remain as is?
Thank you. So that would have to be reviewed in terms of the city ordinance, because that's how it is currently, or the language in the city ordinance is currently written. I'm happy to work with someone on looking at that language, but right now,
It's just for clarification.
Yeah.
That any of the bus shelters that are in the public right of way, the city will maintain them.
In terms of damages. That's correct.
And snow removal.
That is not correct.
So even in the downtown area?
So the downtown area, we do have the town green district that also helps us with maintaining some of these shelters as well as some of the public spaces. In terms of if the glass shatters on some of these shelters, we, TTMP, come in and we replace that. For snow, it is of course the adjacent property owner's responsibility, but we have also been working with Public Works to see how they can assist in removing snow.
And we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
As an aside.
Yeah.
It's just, it comes up, and
Yes.
we have to define what maintenance means.
Yeah.
And if it includes that as well.
Yeah.
So, which is why I was asking.
Yeah, I think a really good part about this program, or the agreement rather, is that the state really does put those parameters in place to make sure the work is getting done and to make sure it's being done correctly. So they do have language in here that requires for there to be the shelters to be clear and free from debris. So that's something we take seriously. And we are committed to making sure we can do whatever it is that we need to do to make sure those bus stops are accessible.
Most importantly. Questions from colleagues? Alder Marks, followed by Alder Martinelli.
So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
First question, you said 100 shelters. Are those all replacement existing shelters or building some new shelters? And what will that division be?
The first year of the program, the policies we decided to prioritize unsheltered locations to get the most bang for the buck, because an existing shelter, even if it's in disrepair, still functions as a shelter. After the first year program, we're going to look at replacing shelters, end of life shelters, recognizing that those typically would be the ones that have higher ridership. So it is kind of a balancing act, but we recognize that after the first year, we're gonna be opening up to replacement of existing shelters. And also maybe reducing the thresholds. The first year, this is about equitable statewide distribution, so we needed a program to like, how do we decide that was equitable to everyone? So the first year, we looked at like statistically what the number of riders, boardings at each location in each community, as I said. But as we run through that first year cycle, we may be able to reduce that's the first quartile, highest quartile, we may be able to reduce that and lower some of the shelters to get, more shelters in lower ridership areas.
Thank you for thinking of my ward. There's probably a location that needs a shelter in Ward 26 along Fountain Street. And then we have an existing shelter that could use some replacing. So
yeah, exactly. You understand exactly the balance that's struck, which is the most valuable one to do, an unsheltered location or a shelter that's.
Both, please.
Yes.
So moving on to my second question, which I think is specific about snow removal. You asked if anybody would be happy to participate. I'm happy to participate. And I would share that we have a particularly difficult location at Ramsdale. There really is no abutting homeowners.
Mhm.
It sort of exists kind of like in the center of the street. And I really think we need to look at this because the abutting homeowners are not dealing with it at the locations where they exist, just not happening and not fair for ADA purposes. And there's places where there really is no really defined abutting homeowner. So I'd love to work on that with you.
And you
if
bring
possible.
up a good point with ADA, which is why the snow removal was so
It was really devastating for people in these past two storms, particularly the first one, when things froze. I have two more areas of question. One is about maintenance, which is that I would say that the bus stop up in Ramsdale is one of the eyesores of our neighborhood, which is frustrating. Questions about sort of more the maintenance, but weeds and trash, kind of, can we start some conversation with the city about how to sort of attend to weeds and leaves and trash and stuff like that?
I sense a workshop.
It does sound like a workshop. In terms of cleaning the buses, I do believe that is a function of public space, public works. Do not quote me on that. I can double check. We do not do the cleaning. We just replace the glass and anything that's not structural. But in terms of cleaning, I can double check and confirm who's responsible for cleaning. But I think different areas have, like if it's a special service district, I think they hire someone to do it. But it's not the same throughout the city. So
Through the chair, it'd be great to understand who has what
Yeah.
jurisdiction for the bus
Yeah,
stop. That'd be
I mean,
helpful.
yeah.
Yes,
Like
I think
weeds that overgrow.
maintenance is such a big
That's right.
word,
Yeah.
and I apologize. So I'm just gonna remind colleagues, we're here to actually talk about this grant,
Thank you.
and I apologize because I brought up the snow, but to me, that's part of the maintenance. So we can have a conversation, possibly a workshop, to discuss these items further, because it is an important topic, and we should probably get after it before winter hits us
Yeah.
again.
Apologize to the chair. It's exciting to have the new
Yes.
director here. Can I ask one more question about design? Is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
design of
okay.
the bus stops.
Yes.
It's sort of something I've thought about, think about, and don't have deep knowledge or understanding of how it works, the design of the bus stop. So I appreciate that there's some sort of need for some sort of clear glass, or it feels like plexiglass, but that seems to get tagged by graffiti and stickers, and then the efforts to clean the graffiti and stickers make it look even worse, again, creating this eyesore of this bus stop we have at Ramsdale. Sort of what goes into the design, is there a way to create something that is less amenable to being tagged and stickered and things like that? Feels like the glass attracts that.
I mean, there are other products. I mean, we tend to do glass for visibility. I mean, just primarily because security is probably our highest concern in glass, is that if the typical problem with glass, if you get multiple times vandalized and broken, then there's other options, but they're not very aesthetic. The mesh, some computers have gone to a mesh, but that's ugly and, is not good.
Appreciate your comment on the safety concern and the need for the glass for that, but it almost feels like it's a plexiglass that's what's currently used in Ward 26.
Yeah, so
The
that
plexiglass looks really bad.
yeah, that
Needs
gets,
to be removed.
yeah, we do not recommend, we do not use plexiglass. We use tempered safety glass, 3/4 inch, 3/8 inch. So that's, the best product, and it's resists vandalism better than anything. The plexiglass it turns, opaque over years, and people can knife it up, and it's very hard to clean, so that's why we use glass.
So the vandalism concern will be taken into account when choosing.
Yeah, so I mean,
design.
exactly, and then we have design options that we'll work with the city. We have our chosen vendor, statewide vendor, has multiple design options. We work with the city to make sure you get, a standardized, we try to get a standardized design, but, leave it relatively, can be used in different neighborhoods, obviously. Obviously, around the green, that's a whole different, those are gonna be custom designed. Whatever goes on the green is gonna have to be special.
And just my last question, would there be opportunities for some kind of public art to be involved in this? The bus stop's along Fountain Street. I'm at the park where there's some public art on it. It's very attractive, and I think that might be a possibility.
Public
There's-
art
there's-
on the
there's-
bus stop?
There's art on some of the bus stops.
Okay.
Want to know if that might be a possibility.
Within our program, we have a provision for art glass as an option, and if a digital image is provided, we can have that projected onto the glass, and we think that's a great idea to get like ownership and community. Again, it's just a maintenance thing, but that's something we'd love to participate in. There are other programs that have like a film, like Hartford and some other communities have like a art glass film applied, and again, that's just a maintenance thing. The standard feature is the art glass, kind of projecting onto the glass. But, and then, we think that's a great idea.
There is one, I think, on Whaley in downtown Westlawn, another one at the edge, the entrance to Coogan Pavilion. I'm just eager to know if, by way of question, it would be possible to do that open city. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
just for clarification, Alder Marks, it's the public art, you want the public to be able to.
I didn't mean to use public, I meant art that's enjoyed by the
Okay.
public. It was
Okay.
just I was curious to know if there's a possibility. You seem to be familiar with what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so
Which is great to
participate,
hear.
neighborhoods can participate in, selectively adding, images.
Thank you.
Is
You know,
there any
branding.
safety concern though? Because we mentioned safety before, and with art, does it block anything, or is it more of a transparent?
It's why it's kind of a more transparent image, is kind of, screened. But, like if you have it branding, certain neighborhoods could have their, a premier image or something like that. If you wanted to have the more branding you do locally, the better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Marks. Alder Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So she asked my question. I was gonna ask for public art and graffiti deterrents, so this is, it's like she read my notes over here. So no, thank you, you already answered it. Thank you, Madam Chair, thank you. Alder Marks for all of that, thank you.
Any further question? No cost to the city, other than our
Maintenance.
maintenance. And what is the time frame for this?
The supply chain for a shelter, these are all custom made, obviously. It takes about 6 months to get the shelter, so there's a process we have to go through for, design. Our contractor will design it and distribute it to the city to sign off on it. So realistically, it's like a 9-month process. We have to go through the Connecticut Environment Policy Act to pre-screen the locations, and additionally, we'll take care of that. So it's probably 9 months. We can do the site work, the concrete work beforehand, so if the timing works and everyone's on board with the location, then we can, get the design and have a contractor, our chosen local contractor who does a lot of work for the city, can do that site work, ahead of and then they can even install shelters in the wintertime or, when it's not constructing sidewalks.
Okay, so if approved by the board, this obviously gets voted out of committee,
Mhm.
and then it goes for first and second reading, and then what takes place if approved by the full board? You guys will coordinate.
We're already getting a list of
Location.
possible locations, and then we'll go out with a team,
Okay,
with our engineers, our design build contractor, the city staff, planning people who are familiar with the lay of the land, and any local groups, the city deems necessary. We'll go out there and walk through the locations, because there is some, we'll do an initial feasibility study to make sure it can be made ADA compliant, because some locations there's not deep enough, or the slope is too much, you can't make it, but that's a priority. We'll kind of pre-screen those locations, then we'll go walk out with our team, with a bus, drive around, look at each location and say, okay, this will work. How much sidewalk do we need to move? Because we need to make it ADA compliant. Sometimes we'll go up to 75 feet in this program, but sometimes, so that's a little subjective. Sometimes is the concrete sidewalk needs to be replaced completely. what panel do we go to? So those decisions are all made, we'll document that in a memo, and then we'll have a contractor design do a set of plans, so people can make sure we'll distribute to the city and make sure everyone's on board with what we're doing. We also want to make sure the neighbors are okay. If we're doing these in residential areas, we want to make sure that people are okay. If you're putting something in front of a single family home, that can be controversial, so we want to make sure everyone's on board with what we're doing. Because once we order the shelters, it may take 6 months to come in, custom, we can move a little bit, but we don't want to have that happen. So we want to make sure everyone's on board with what we're doing and where we're doing it.
Okay, and that takes place before you order them, or will you order them and then?
We like to do that before we order them. Okay. That's why it takes a little longer. In theory, we can order some, but then it's risky.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Is that okay? Just regarding this process, can we make sure that the alders in each neighborhood are notified of the locations and the messaging going out to the neighbors?
We wouldn't want any other way.
Thank you.
We know this is New Haven. We understand.
We're very involved.
Thank you. Thanks,
Good.
Madam Chair.
Thank you for asking that, Alder Marks. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is exciting. I'm sure residents will be very happy to have new shelters and added shelters.
Yes, Commissioner who lives in New Haven is very excited about it. He asks me constantly, when am I getting some shelters in New Haven? So this is
We like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. And is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Mr. Eckstedt, come forward. You can either stay or.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, and then you go right into your testimony.
My name is David Eckstedt with 431 Orange Street. I have some useful information for you. The ADA requires that public transit agencies responsible for a 5-foot by 8-foot boarding zone at all bus stops. That includes snow removal. So that's on CT Transit, not the city of New Haven. Now, it may just mean that they have to pay for it, but that's not a bad thing. The most recent lawsuit resulted in a settlement that held Metro Transit responsible for snow removal at bus stops that had shelters. So if we're adding more shelters, that the terms of that settlement would also apply to those shelters. So it would be worth checking with the Corporation Council to find out if CT Transit owes us some money for removing snow from their bus stops.
Okay.
The other thing is the ADA makes municipalities responsible for access. Residents and property owners are not responsible. The city can hold them responsible for removing snow, but ultimately the city is responsible for providing access. So what the city could do is remove snow, send the property owners a bill. Same thing as repairing sidewalks.
And that's a state requirement, you said?
That's federal.
Federal, okay.
And that's every amicus brief that the DOJ has filed and about sidewalks has held municipalities responsible for providing an accessible route. Now, they could certainly hold property owners financially responsible by putting a lien, and the New Haven ordinance allows the city to put liens, prepare sidewalks, put on liens, do the same thing with snow removal. So.
Well, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Eckstedt? Okay, thank you. Thanks for that information. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please come forward. Anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item, please come forward. And one more time, anyone from the public, please come forward to speak on this item if you wish to testify. Okay, seeing none, we can move on to the next item, which is on a lot of money. Yes. It's all yours.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All great things happening in TTMP. It's such an exciting time to be here. This order that you have in front of you is for us to apply for and accept $11,040,000 from the U.S. Department of Transportation under the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. So of course, this federal grant. We'll be taking a look at Chapel Street between LSE Grassel and State Street in conjunction with the ongoing New Haven Access and Mobility and Safety, projects. This is part of a larger initiative to take a look at how we can make a number of these streets more accessible, more safer, and to be able to utilize two-way on these streets and various improvements throughout this corridor. So this grant, it will be for 5 years. This $11 million will be for 5 years. Of course, the grant is administered, it's a federal grant administered by the U.S. Department of Transportation. And this is for design and implementation of the Chapel Street Safe Streets project. And if made possible, this yeah, so the overall goals for this $11 million grant is to eliminate deaths and injuries caused by motor vehicles, making transportation fully accessible to people with disabilities, making it easier and safer for people to walk, bike, and use mobility devices in public transportation. And that is it about this grant.
Okay, so just for clarification,
Yeah.
it's for Chapel Street between L.T. Grassel Boulevard and State Street, or no?
No.
Because it
So,
says, I'm just looking at the documents that we received.
okay. So currently what TCMP has been doing is taking a look at the entire Chapel Street from L.T. Grasso down to State Street and seeing how we can improve that entire corridor. So maybe I didn't do a great job of explaining that in there. We received the Safe Routes for All grant for fiscal year 2022. Part of that grant is the current Chapel Street conversion that we're working on, and that is from College to York. So this one will be helping us finish out the rest of the Chapel Street conversion. Again, it's in phases, so this is part of a larger vision of converting Chapel Street into two-way.
Okay, so this is a continuation of the Chapel Street.
That's correct.
Because it also mentions in the letter for disadvantaged neighborhoods.
That's correct.
Which would include the West River, Dwight, and Edgewood.
That's correct. Chapel Street runs
all the way.
That's correct.
Okay, so it will go out that far.
That's right.
And with this, is there there's a city match.
There is a city match.
That will be bonded.
That's correct.
Of 2.7 million.
That's correct. The grant did require that the city made a match of $2.7 million. I believe that's already been earmarked, but again, I will fact check that. The city contribution.
Questions from comments? Alder Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Simpson. I'm just looking at the plans. It mentions one of the upgrades are bikeways that connect with previously completed and current bikeway projects. What kind of design of bike lanes will be on that stretch?
Yeah, so for this phase of the Chapel Street conversion, we have not completed the public engagement process. So that will need to be completed, and that's when we'll make those decisions on what those bike lanes will look like. This is for us to accept that grant, and once we receive those funds, we'll be able to move forward with public engagement and other activities, but we haven't gotten to for this phase of Chapel Street yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Director Simpson. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder Smith. Any other questions from colleagues? Alder Moore?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So it's primarily to make Chapel Street a two-way
Yes.
road? And it's of great interest to my ward. Ward 26 is, that's one of the main routes from Ward 26 to downtown. I guess I have some questions about how you'll learn from the lessons of what's not working on Chapel Street in other areas, regarding, for instance, bikes. We have 0 delineators left on upper Chapel Street. There probably were about 30 of them, 30 white delineators in the first week of their being installed. I think many were knocked out, and by the end of this snowstorm, I think it's about a year and a half later, we have 0.
Yeah.
And they're actually littering this side of the street. It's kind of ugly looking. So just eager to hear how you'll learn and think about what's going on, how you'll integrate this into the learning that happened up high on Chapel Street. I'm also interested, making a multi-point question, the middle of Chapel Street, right around like Possible Features Bookstore, to shout it out.
Yes. Love Possible Features.
There was sort of a bump out of the cars there.
Yes.
So it seems that we made some cost and expense to bump out the parking.
Is that Chapel or is that Edgewood?
Is that Edgewood?
Possible Features is
Edgewood, thank you. So I will retract that question. I was
Okay.
concerned about how that will interact.
No, that's a great
I
question.
actually retract my question about I don't retract it, but I will correct the record to say I was talking about the delineators actually on Edgewood, not on Chapel. So
Okay.
I guess I'll
No,
just
but it's a great.
ask the
it's-
question of how you'll learn from the experience on
Yeah.
other major in and out thoroughfares.
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I can take ownership on having more transparent conversations with the community about what that looks like for them. We have been receiving a mixed bag of feedback as to whether the community appreciates the delineators or whether they don't. The delineators were installed to be more of a quick build, more of a simple fix for a problem. Clearly, the problem exists if they're no longer there. But I think there's a lot to be learned from some of the various projects that have already been implemented throughout the city. So I think part of the community engagement process that there will be a lot of conversations with the community and with the alders on what they think needs to be implemented here. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam Chair. I know my neighborhood will look forward to that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, I just have a couple more regarding, when do you need to apply for this grant? Or have we applied for it?
They have applied for it already.
And
This
when should-
predates me.
Okay.
So I apologize for that. They have applied for the grant already. When we were now reviewing the agreement to enter into with the US DOT, I went to go look for the Board of Alders approval to say it is okay for the mayor to sign, and I did not see that. So that is why I'm bringing it here to make sure we actually have authorization to sign it. That is me doing my due diligence and being type A. So that is why I'm bringing it in front of you to make sure we have that authorization before signing anything.
Now, when you say sign, we already applied for it, so have we been granted these funds?
Correct, yes. So we currently we don't have them in our bank
So we can't accept
account.
it until this board.
Correct, because we cannot sign the agreement because we don't have authorization to sign it.
Okay, so we've technically been approved to receive this funding.
We've been, yes, we have been selected as a recipient of the funds. We cannot receive the funds or enter into an agreement for the funds because that is correct.
Is there a time frame of that signature being on paper to receive the funds?
Well, do you want the real answer or like because if you asked me, it's yesterday, so we can get started, but as
Is
long
there
as
a
it
deadline
takes
though?
for.
Because if the committee approves it,
Yeah.
it goes to a first reading and then a second reading.
Mhm.
So we're still a month away, less than.
First reading will be Monday.
Oh, Monday, yes. You know what, we usually have this meeting at the beginning of the month, so. So Monday will be your first reading if this committee votes favorably. And then 2 weeks after that is the second reading. Is that okay?
I guess it's going to have to be okay?
No, this committee can actually discharge the item and make it a second reading for Monday's meeting if there is, pressure. It does have to
Yeah.
be approved by the board president, but, we can make that request. So there are options. I don't
Yeah.
want you to think, there aren't. But if it can wait till the second reading, then we'll just follow the process normally. But if you feel it needs to be discharged to expedite, it's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I think being that this has sort of been just lingering for a while, it would be nice if we could have it expedited, just so we can get those funds and get started with the full rollout and community engagement. And also, we would like to solicit for a consultant to come on board to help us with all these preliminary planning. But I also understand if that cannot be granted, but it would be nice.
We can discuss it. But I wanted to make sure you knew that there are options.
Thank you.
If it needs to be expedited. And, if all this happens, the board votes favorably, what is the time frame of this happening? I know Chapel is under.
The first phase, yes.
First phase, yes, happening now.
Yes.
So it'd be nice to actually continue.
That is correct. I appreciate you understanding that without me fully saying that. Sorry to not have made that clear. So yes, the first phase is currently happening. It would be nice if we could receive authorization to enter into this agreement with the USDOT for this grant so that we can continue that work and not have any more of a lag for converting the entire Chapel Street into two-way.
Any questions? Thank you, Madam Chair. My last question is while you're here, it's the $9 million question, but I actually think it's the $11 million question. Can you explain why two-way traffic is safer? Doesn't seem intuitive to me or many of my neighbors.
Okay, I think that's fair. So what has happened is we have hired a consultant that took a look at different corridors that would benefit from being two-way in terms of improving the flow of traffic. As you know, there's a section of Chapel Street, just in using this as the example, that is already two-way and functions very well as being two-way. As downtown is currently structured, you have to go up one block to be able to go to the next block, to turn down. It's not efficient as it currently exists. So from that study in which we have received, it showed us a number of different areas that would benefit from being converted to two-way, and that's why TTMP has started moving forward with following through with those one-way to two-way conversions. Also, I want to plug that Chapel Street was historically a two-way street.
Nice follow-up question. Intuitive concerns about collisions between drivers on their phones.
Yeah.
In different directions. Can you speak to that?
So what I can say is there are a couple different ways to look at this, right? One is the education piece, one is the implementation, and one is the engineering piece. I do believe that we can do a better job of doing the education piece, where now that we are rolling this out, it is a change, a significant change. We do need to have more of those conversations around folks being more aware as they're driving. I do want to take more of a deeper dive on what that will look like, because a number of unhealthy behaviors that happen on the roads do need to be addressed. So that is something that I need to work through to make sure we communicate that with the community. But that is something that has been on our mind consistently. For Chapel Street conversion in particular, we have made sure we have the PD traffic unit out here to help direct traffic for folks to be mindful and aware of the change in traffic. And we plan to have that out there for at least 2 weeks until folks get familiar with the change. And that will happen for every next phase to come to help assist people get familiar with the change. That felt like word salad.
Thank you for your answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Martinelli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a follow-up to that, how do we make sure that our like phone GPSs and all that also update to the two-way street?
Yeah. So we have our traffic engineer that is on staff that is fully equipped to making sure that those GPSs are updated. So of course that will be that won't necessarily happen for next week, but we're making sure it happens for the weeks to come after that because a lot is happening in a very short period of time.
Okay, so I guess if it happens on like a day, and I don't want the GPS to be telling them to go down the street and then they can't go down that street.
Right.
This is mine, because everybody uses their phone GPS to get
Yeah.
around, so it's just a concern.
Yeah, it's a great concern.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ellen Martinelli. We also have to be reminded that it is against the law to have a handheld, and actually new laws also came through where there's a no-touch law now. Or earbuds, so I think those went into effect maybe October, if I'm not mistaken, but there's, you know, sometimes we don't hear about these laws or we find out the hard way.
Yeah.
But there are laws that have been added to, you know, hands-free, but now it's also touch-free. You're not even supposed to touch your phone, or whatever the law is anyway. I'm rusty on it.
I can look.
So we need to just remind residents to just follow the law.
Yes.
And make sure that the PD is also on board. If they see these violations, it's really important that they actually try to stop.
Yeah. And even the double parking, right? Like that's something that is very significant, especially now that we're changing the pattern of traffic. Double parking really presents its own challenges that I think people fail to realize. That's one of my concerns because that's a lot of what I see out on Chapel Street. So more to follow in terms of how we get folks to be in compliance. But for the first 2 weeks at least, we will be doing strong enforcement.
Yeah, and you mentioned education as well. And I think a lot of the double parking happens with food delivery service. That's right. So possibly reaching out to those specific food delivery service companies. I mean, we know who they are. And possibly as a reminder to also the establishments that use them to remind those drivers that they should be pulling over.
Yeah. And we are going to have, we currently have loading zones out there, just talking in particular for this phase of Chapel Street. We will see that we're expanding a little bit for more of the loading zones so folks who are doing, you know, their Uber Eats or their Grubhub or whatever, should be able to pull over into that spot to be able to pick up and go. That is our intent that they follow that. I'm going to hope for the best.
Great, thank you. Any further questions?
I'm just curious to know sort of, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, I know this precedes you, but I'm interested to know sort of when these traffic studies were done and sort of when the learning happened, because it seems to me that we really do have different dynamics, you know, with the amount of Uber, I mean, you've got a double parked Uber car. I travel to Chapel every day, right?
Yeah.
So when you've got a double parked Uber car and there's 2 lanes of traffic, all you need to do is merge over and go around. You've got a double parked Uber car, and now I'm heading into oncoming traffic to try to get around it. So sort of curious, the studies we did, we've now got these deliveries, we've got phones, we've got different dynamics, and I'm concerned about, extremely concerned about traffic buildup and safety.
Yeah.
When this thoroughfare, which gets used as a through route, gets turned into two.
Yeah, I can definitely,
My question was to find out through the chair, Madam Chair, if we could just learn a little about the decision that this was safe and important to do, kind of what the time frame of that analysis.
Yeah.
That's your question.
I can provide that information to you as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Further questions? Okay, well, I was looking at even City Plan Commission advisory and the vision for 2034. And, there are goals and strategies that are listed here, to eliminate, deaths and injuries, et cetera. So I know you went to city plan. City plan has approved the item. And I just wanted to make a note of that. Actually, for all the items this evening, they've all gone through city plan. If there are no further questions, then we could dismiss.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? No. Good evening. Mr. Good, you know the routine.
You know the routine. Aaron Good, 702 Quinnipiac Avenue. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members, and thank you to Director Simpson and her predecessor, Director Isola, for pursuing these state and federal grants and bringing money to the city for these important traffic safety and Vision Zero projects. And I think this grant in particular, this SS4A grant, will help us with the implementation of the Safe Routes for All plan, the full implementation of that excellent long-term strategic plan. So very much in favor of this. I think one thing that we saw with the one-way to two-way conversion of Chapel Street that will be starting very shortly, later this month, I guess next week, that was held up for quite a while. Some of you, I'm sure, followed this independent by the police commission acting in their authority, their role as our local traffic authority. And this is, this gets a little bit into the weeds. I won't go too far into the weeds, but the local traffic authority is, okay, is that better? The local traffic authority has to sign off on certain matters of regulatory approval, and there should be a body in the city that's doing that. There has to be a body according to state statute, but it does not have to be the police commission. And one of the goals of Safe Streets Advocates for many years has been to have a local traffic authority that has expertise specifically in transportation planning and traffic engineering, rather than our police commission, who have expertise, a lot of great expertise, but in other areas having to do with criminal justice issues. And to have them acting as the local traffic authority, I think sometimes creates delays or presents certain problems in terms of creating the safest environment for all of our road users. Specifically with the Chapel Street one-way to two-way conversion, I think that police commission had a lot of legitimate concerns, and I think those concerns were ultimately addressed, and the ultimate result was better for it. But I think the Board of Alders might want to take a look at shifting the responsibilities for local traffic authority to another body that can look more holistically at some of the issues around traffic safety and transportation planning than the police commission, which has a lot of other things on their plate, a lot of other important responsibilities that don't have to do with, well, it is a two-way street, is that safer? Does that actually promote more economic development? I don't think that's their area of expertise. And so there are some communities in the state who said, well, maybe we don't want the police commission serving as our local traffic authority. Hampton is one of those municipalities. Fairfield has just made that change in their local ordinances. I think Trumbull is another community that's looking at that. And this is something that Roland Lamar actually got passed when he was the co-chair of the Transportation Committee at the state legislature, enabling us to make this change. So we don't have to use the police commission as our local traffic authority. So I just, in terms of the long-term implementation of Safe Routes for All, in terms of Chapel Street in particular, in terms of what we've seen already with Chapel Street, these one-way to two-way conversions, I think this this is something that this committee and the Board of Alders may want to address. But again, I'm delighted to see so many important traffic safety things on your agenda tonight. I think they're all steps in the right direction, and I applaud the city for the Transportation, Traffic, and Parking Department for bringing these forward, and I urge your approval. And you're all invited to Bike to Work Day tomorrow. Devil's Ear Bike Shop. I know Director Simpson will be there, and Demetris, who's the traffic safety engineer for the city. So we'd love to see all of you as well. Thanks.
What time?
7:30
In the morning?
Yep.
Okay,
8:45 Chapel Street.
thank you. Thank you for your testimony. All right. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please come forward. Welcome back.
Again, my name is still David Augusta, and I still live at 431 Orange Street. So in the last 3 projects that were completed under Safe Routes for All plan, the ADA requires that up to 20% of the total project cost be spent on accessibility improvements when the roadway is altered. The last 3 projects that were done under CERCLA, we didn't do that. We spent nothing. If we spend that much, Chapel Street, the south side of Chapel Street is not traversable basically from Orange Street to at least York Street. And I don't think $2.2 million is going to fix that. So I don't know how we're going to make that accessible. The bluestone slabs, that's just not an appropriate ground surface. The loose paving blocks in front of what used to be the Y, that were all PB, those all have to go. And I don't think 2.2 million will fix that. I don't really know, but I don't think we can make that access route traversable for that kind of money. So I don't know.
Well, that's something we can visit and look
We
into.
need to add some additional funding to make those routes traversable. That's it.
Well,
Thank you
for that additional information.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Augusta? Okay. Thank you again. Have a good
Welcome
night.
again.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please come forward. Anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item, please come forward. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, and this was our last item, we can move forward with closing the public portion of the meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public portion of this meeting. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of closing the public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? The public portion has been closed. Do I hear a motion to move item number 1? Is there a motion to move item 1? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, item 1 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? This is regarding the Townsend Avenue crosswalk markings and safety, pedestrian safety. Any discussion? No. Well, I think it was said by Mr. Good that all these projects that have come before us this evening, with this one in particular, or this one included, that pedestrian safety is very important, and I encourage my colleagues to support this item that will make Townsend Avenue by the Party C wall a little safer. All in favor of this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Do the ayes carry, or do we need to? We're good. Okay. Do the ayes carry? Motion is favorable. Do I hear a motion to move item number 2?
So move. Second.
Item 2 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? And this one is in regard to safety improvements on Ferry Street. Any discussion? I'm just going to reiterate what I said, that anything having to do with transportation or for any pedestrian safety improvements, particularly Berry Street is a busy street. Both Aldersmith and I cover, do you cover Fair? I do not. Okay. I have a portion of Fair, and we know some of the challenges there, so this will be a great improvement. Any further discussion? I encourage my colleagues to support this item. Any further discussion on item 2? Okay, seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor of item number 2, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
The ayes carry. Noted. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to move item number 3?
So moved. Second.
Item 3 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on item number 3, which is regarding the coastal planning?
Sure. So this, I would just urge everybody to vote in favor of this. This seems like a no-brainer. It doesn't incur costs to the taxpayers, and it helps us update our plan to really help our city plan for flooding, storms, etc. So I think this is a win for the city of New Haven.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further discussion?
I just want to agree with that and state that because we are a coastal city, this is very much needed and I'm very much in favor.
Great. Thank you, Alderman Martinelli. Any further discussion? Well, I will agree as well. It sounds like this needs to be updated since the last time it was updated was, I believe it was 2006.
Yep.
And a lot has changed since then, so it'll be a good plan to move forward with updating our coastal program. All in favor of this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? The ayes carry. Do I hear a motion to move item number 4?
So moved. Second.
Item 4 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item, which deals with the micro grant, the $5,000 micro grant? Any discussion? Okay. Hey, I'll take any money that we are offered, and if we have bike lanes, people are going to be biking. It'll be nice to have bike racks throughout the city to help park them. And I think residents will really appreciate this as well. So I encourage my colleagues to support this item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Thank you, noted. The ayes have it. There a motion to move item number 5?
So moved. Second.
Item 5 has been moved and seconded, and again, this is the maintenance agreement for bus shelters. Any discussion?
I'm in favor of this. I think that for the city to be able to receive, hopefully one day, all of them to be replaced would be a wonderful thing for the city, and to be looking at snow removal and more ADA compliance towards that as well. So I am absolutely in favor of that.
Thank you, Alderman Martinelli. Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of this item say aye. Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Noted. The ayes have it. Do I hear a motion to move item number 6?
So moved. Second.
Item 6 has been moved and seconded, although this is the item that we were thinking of discharging, since this grant has already been applied for and we were awarded, but we can't move forward without this board's approval. And I know generally we don't discuss these, Misty, but I think we can, discuss on whether to discharge it for a vote on Monday, or just give it a first reading for Monday and a second reading 2 weeks from that time frame. Any thoughts? Alder Moore?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It seems like Chapel is already being converted to 2A, so regardless of what we do on this, it will be converted. And there seems to be a sizable amount of funding on the table. And so the city could use $11 million for safety improvements. And so moving it forward quickly seems like a prudent measure.
Okay, so you're in favor of discharging it from committee to be presented Monday?
Correct. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, Chair, something for discussion purposes. I don't know my position yet, and eager to hear from colleagues, Madam Chair. I think the horses probably out of the barn, or whatever metaphor I want to use. I mean, I do think this is something different than what's going on. We're talking about York towards up to Edgewood, so it's the thoroughfare that gets used on the way out to Westville and the way out right out to Woodbridge. And I'm late to the game as I'm newish to an alder to sort of the safe street, complete streets projects. I believe that there's been lots of, I assume, community engagement and discussion and interaction. But I just conceptually, have not been, as I've been thinking about just the downtown portion, I'm able to wrap my head around and feel intuitively supportive of the thoroughfare beyond downtown, you know, the thoroughfare out towards Westville. So I don't know that I'm supportive, but I'd like to hear from colleagues, Madam Chair.
The item is to accept these funds.
Understood.
To pursue. So do we want to discharge from committee to accept the funds and then have, you know, it sounds like community input is still going to take place.
I want to share, Madam Chair, that I guess I feel strongly that there's a reason why we do what we do here, which is money is not just free money, but money is a decision to do something policy-wise, and taking the money is a decision essentially to turn Chapel two-way. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I have gut intuitive concerns, and I just was wondering if any others on the committee, and I see Alder Smith raising her hand. I know she's been deeply engaged in some of these conversations. I want to think about and learn more about it during this discussion, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alder Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Alder Marks, for that question. I agree with Alder Moore. I'm in support of moving forward to discharge the item. My understanding is that by discharging the item and having the city be able to have access to the funds, it unlocks the next phase, which includes community engagement, which would then beget the final design, which I believe, as Director Simpson mentioned, the final design is still being designed and will be informed by neighbors' feedback. And I'm just eager and excited for us to be able to move forward to that place where more neighbors can engage with it, and we can see a final design and be able to see this move forward.
If I may ask a follow-up question, Madam Chair?
Sure, and let me just be clear. We don't need to discharge this from committee. If we wanted to take the normal action of a first reading on Monday and giving us the 2 weeks to look into it further and then, you know, wait 2 weeks after that, you know, we have that option. We're kind of doing this as a favor, if that makes any sense.
Thank you. If I could ask a follow-up question, Madam Chair? I guess my question, I don't know if my colleagues know the answer, and perhaps, I don't know, I assume that Director Simpson knows the answer, how much accepting these funds means that we're doing a two-way conversion. I understand that there are many details that are up for grabs, but are the funds linked to a two-way conversion, or are they loose funds for Chapel Street safety improvements in general, and the two-way conversion still up for discussion? I don't know the answer to that, Madam Chair.
So I'm going to suggest that we move this as a first reading. Let's move this out of committee, but not discharge it. Because it sounds like there's still too many questions.
Unless excuse me, Madam Chair, unless I'm just, if I just don't know the answers, I'm happy. I do not intend right now to slow this down unnecessarily. I appreciate the position Director Simpson is in. I just guess I have this question. I don't know if others on the committee know the answer, whether accepting the funds means two-way conversion.
Well,
thank you, Madam Chair. Just for by way of discussion.
My understanding of it would be loose funds. It would still go to the community to have feedback on. And so I am in favor of moving this to discharge with in mind, again, for ADA compliance. I do really feel strongly about that as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Alder Martinelli. We have to remember this is also for safer crosswalks, flashing pedestrian warning lights, sidewalk repairs, curb ramp upgrades for ADA purposes, raised crosswalk, curb extensions, and some street conversions from one-way to two-way. So, you know, obviously it's for safer road infrastructure, and again, I'm from my understanding is that if we were to discharge it and we vote favorably on it Monday night with the full board, there will be further conversations to be had. So in our packet, it says some street conversions from one-way to two-way.
Might I suggest, Madam Chair, that I might be comfortable with discharge if we can have the opportunity to have an answer before the vote tomorrow. I don't know if we can ask Director Simpson now, or she can provide the information before the vote to confirm our understanding that we're not tying ourselves to a two-way conversion of Chapel Street.
Well, that's
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair.
If I may, Madam Chair, just taking a look at the plain language of the text file that we're approving, which is the actual order.
What page, please?
Oh, this is a beefy packet here, 103.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I'm just going through this again, quick, I don't see any reference to two-way conversion in the order. So if we were to vote on this order, I don't see that in there. I don't know if that helps you or not. As a lawyer and to another lawyer, that helps me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Alderman Moore. Misty, what is can we have Ms. Simpson, Director Simpson, come back up? Yeah, because we moved it.
And what I'm reading here, it states that the project includes the two-way conversion.
Can I,
From another lawyer.
in the order, in the text file, or
No, it's in the,
in the pack, but
report, which details what's included in the project. And it states a couple of times one-way to two-way conversion.
In the city plan.
Yeah, that's included as part of the project that was submitted with the application.
We don't, if I may ask the staff, we don't know if that might be one block's work versus the entire. So that might still be flexible, the extent to which that happens.
is there a page number you're looking at?
So, Ms. Mesa, just for clarification, what would supersede, the city plan report or our resolution? So, my question would be, this supersede the city plan report. So it would be two-way all the way. It's not just, so it would be two-way all the way on Chapel.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, accepting the grant would mean we are making a decision to turn Chapel two-way the whole way.
That's part of the project for the grant.
Yes. Yes. So again, what, we need to determine is whether we need more time. If we need the 2 weeks in between the first reading and the second reading, or discharge it from committee to try and expedite the project.
May I ask a question of colleagues? By way of discussion?
I can just comment if it helps move this.
Aldermore.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't mean to hog the show in any way, shape, or form. I am comfortable, I just want to clarify for the record, I am comfortable with either option. So if it benefits my colleague to have more time to deliberate, I am happy to support the regular process for this item. I just want to make sure that that's on the record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Aldermore.
I also agree with Aldermore.
Okay, so as the chair, I'm going to make an executive decision here, and I think we're going to follow the normal route. So we will not discharge this from committee. It's only 2 weeks. That would give us enough time to speak with Director Simpson if we needed to clarify any misunderstandings or any questions that we might have. So why don't we just take a vote on the item, take the normal path of a first reading for Monday, and then 2 weeks from Monday, do the second reading. And it buys us that 2 week time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That'll give me time to consult with my other aldermanic colleagues in whose districts this really very much affects.
Perfect.
Understand if they've already.
So discussion on the item itself. Any further discussion on the item itself? I know we,
Really good mixing too. I
Yeah.
apologize. Madam Chair.
no, this is, this is important. This is the time that we're supposed to take to discuss. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of changes. It affects a lot of people. And it's, these are items that, this is why we come together as a committee to discuss them, to have any clarifications. That way our colleagues who are not here this evening can ask us as well and get clarification. So the more we know, the more we can present to them if questions were to arise.
Thank you. Appreciate that, because I do think there are a lot of elders in whose districts this does impact, so it gives us a chance to talk about it at first reading. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder Marks. So with that being said, we will take a vote on the item for normal process. All in favor of this item, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? The ayes carry. So this will go as a first reading for Monday.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, awesome. That concludes our voting items. Did I miss anything? Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
So moved.
To adjourn?
Second.
Okay. The item, adjournment has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, all in favor on adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, ayes have it, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for
Thank you.
great conversation.
Thank you.
Alder Moore, do you mind taking care of
Oh, the thing? Yep.
Thank you.